Hello. We've been thinking about making a newsletter for the last couple weeks, and we just decided we'd do it as a video instead. So, this year we've been in Germany. This is Keith, Jean. This year we've been in Germany. It's messing around. 9.5 years. We've been married 10 years. And he's been in ministry 40 years, which nobody even cares, I don't think. I said that and got zero reaction to. Anyway, and we've, as I said, we've been in Germany 9.5 years. It's been good. The first 4 years, I guess, were pretty good. And it's also been very tough. We've had a lot of really hard times, and I don't think I would have gotten through it without Keith. I certainly wouldn't have done it on my own. And now we're looking at what going forward and how we go forward. So,
we tell you what we're doing here first of all. We came here to help start small churches and encourage house churches and things like that, small organic communities. And that work still goes on, and we're still doing that today. But more than that, what's taking up most of our time at the moment is our work among refugees.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we are supporting a small local charity here that's working with refugees, doing mostly teaching German. We're not teaching German, they're teaching German, and helping them with integration. And those of you who know me will laugh, but I'm doing a lot of the administration and the bookkeeping, and I am not a bookkeeper. I was very happy when I could start doing my online banking because I didn't have to keep track of it anymore. But anyway.
But she's very good at keeping hold of the purse strings.
I'm the saver, he's the spender. International auditor makes me do the bookkeeping. But it's okay. It's okay, it stretches you, you learn things. But it's been good. We've had, in this area, we have lots of Syrian and Iraqi, I guess, refugees, a few Ethiopians.
Let me tell you a very quick story. Of course, most of them are Muslims. They're not Christians, although we have had Christian refugees too. But most of them are Muslims, and they find it very hard coming to a Christian country and settling in. And the charities who work among Muslims here will not proselytize. So
have to be secular.
We don't spend a lot of our time preaching to them, but demonstrating the gospel through works of power. The other week we were at lunch with a large group of people from the charity and some of the refugees. Mm-hmm. And one of the refugees was complaining of a pain he was having deep inside his arm, and this pain wouldn't go away, and they tried massaging it and putting creams and different things on it. Nothing stopped the pain. And I said to him, well, do you know who Isa is? Jesus for the Muslims. And he said, yes. I said, well, the Quran says that all salvation and all healing comes through Isa. So can I ask Isa to heal your arm? And he said, he thought about it a bit, and he said, well, yes. So I prayed for his arm.
But wait, you have to realize we're sitting in a restaurant at a table with about 10 people. All of them are talking about different things, and all this stuff's going on, as you do when you're in that situation. And when Keith said, can I pray for your arm? Everybody stopped talking and looked at Keith. So anyway, go ahead.
So we prayed for his arm, and the moment I touched his arm and began praying, the pain went. And since then, he and I have had 2 or 3 discussions about who Jesus is and why he is and what's different. And so that's come from him asking me, not me going out directly to share the gospel with him. I just prayed for him as I would anybody else who was ill or in need of help. So I want to encourage you on that. Another thing we're doing is directly helping people. We have contacts all over the world for that one.
Well, yeah. What I was going to say about refugees, we are also working with a lot of the children of refugees. A lot of children ended up in Germany without their parents when they first came, and Keith's doing a training now about teaching volunteers and people how to deal with trauma and how to help the refugees and anybody really deal with trauma. So that's another thing.
We're calling that teddy bears and heroes. If you are ever in a situation where you need to deal with people who've been through traumatic situations, ask us about the teddy bears and heroes teaching. We're hoping to put it all on video very soon.
We're also working with about 200 ministries and missionaries and ministry leaders around the world that are contacting us because they're having problems in their family, problems with their children, all kinds of stresses, abandonment on the mission field, things just like we've had as far as missions. And because we're in Germany and we don't know their circle of friends or we don't know the people they're working with, we're safe to talk to. And so we've been doing this for about 2 years now. And as I said, there's about 200. And the problem with pastors and especially missionaries, if you ever tell anybody that there's any kind of problem, even a small problem, they want you off the mission field immediately. You lose your job, your everything you've worked for, everything. And so they don't want to talk to their organization or their sending church or anybody like that. And so this is a group that we're working with, about 200 of them, that contact us when they need us. The biggest problem with that for us is that of this group, including us, nobody really has the finances to get counseling for themselves. Another reason they call Keith, and nobody has the finances to support the people who are helping them. So we end up doing Keith ends up doing a lot of counseling for free, which is fine, but we still have to.
Yeah, we have to put bread on the table.
Yeah, support ourselves.
It is an issue. We are hearing from missionaries all around the world who used to have good support and now have nothing.
The term they use to be politically correct in the church is they're under-supported. Well, when you need a certain amount of money to survive every month, just to survive and pay your rent, and you get about a quarter of that, that's a little bit more than under-supported.
Yeah.
And what happens is, happens with us, the people who support us the most are other missionaries, other people in the same situation.
Other missionaries and also non-Christians support us, but people who can see what we're doing and see the effect of what we're doing.
Yes.
And it's very humbling that non-Christians will give us money to carry on doing what we're doing. That non-Christians will come to us and say, we need what you're doing. Something I haven't seen since the days we were in Castro Dialis in Spain.
Yeah. So that's
So let's tell you what we're doing to celebrate our 10 years together. When we got married, we couldn't really afford a honeymoon. We had one night in a nice hotel, paid for by somebody else who wanted to bless us. One night in a hotel in Tallahassee, of all places.
The honeymoon capital of the world.
But I did say to Jean, there would come a time when we would be able to have a honeymoon. Well, we haven't really got the money now, but we do have we need it. We haven't had a holiday for
8 years.
8 years
We haven't
now.
been out of Germany for 8 years. Most missionaries would go home every 2 years. And
Yeah.
I'll say this, he might cut it out, but I'll say it. Keith has never even met his grandchildren. He has 3 grandchildren that he's never even met, so it's
would
been a
dearly
real
love to.
stress for us.
But we're moving forward. We're not going to sit and do nothing. We are convinced now's the time for us to have our honeymoon. And Jean wants to celebrate 10 years with me. I want to celebrate 10 years with her. And so we thought about going to England, but England is very, very, very expensive and
Cold in November.
cold in November, and we don't have the money that we would want to be able to travel in England.
We actually, several years ago, talked about going to Israel for our 10th anniversary, but
Yeah,
that hasn't worked out.
yeah. Somebody even said that they would give us a free place on a tour, but that didn't work out.
Never
So.
worked out, no.
So we decided that as Spain was in both our hearts, we both love Spain, that's where we would go. We're going to visit some friends in Algeciras in the south of Spain, in Andalusia, and we're staying with friends, but we're going to visit some other friends whilst we're there. And
We've heard from some people who are going to come and see
yes, some
you.
people
They don't know me.
from other parts of Spain are coming down just to see us and spend some time with us. We're going to be visiting some churches as well. And we're just hoping for a time of rest, but also good fellowship. When we've done that, we're coming home. And when we come home,
We're going to keep doing the same thing we've been doing.
that's right, we're not going to stop. We're going to carry on the same 3 things of refugees, small churches, and ministering to ministries. But there's a little extension to that we build on, which is the Lord spoke to me 2 years ago about the passage in Matthew where Jesus talks about the wise and foolish virgins, and how the foolish virgins don't have enough oil when the bridegroom comes. Now, we all want to be ready. We all want to be prepared for when Jesus, the bridegroom, comes. And the Lord has been speaking to me recently about preparing the end time church. Many Christians think that we are living in the end times today. Many people look around and see that Christians are being persecuted more today than they ever have been in the past. Even in Western countries, America, Christians are being taken to court because they won't bake cakes. In England, in many other countries, not because they're being horrible or hateful in other ways, but simply because they're standing for Christian values and for the Word of God. And we need to be preparing for that. And part of that, God gave me a message about how important communication will be in the last days when we are suffering persecution. And we're not going to be able to use videos. We're not going to be able to use telephones so freely. The internet, so far already, we've seen that the internet is being closed down. Part of the internet being closed down for us because they say that just by preaching the gospel, just by saying that Jesus is the only way to God, we're told that's hate speech. Oh, you can't say that. The Muslims, the Hindus, the others will be offended. I'm sorry. It's the truth. And I will preach the truth. Jesus is the only way. And so part of it is going to be sharing how we can communicate better in these last days, and specifically talking about how God is going to take us back to the New Testament times when we will be meeting in small groups, when messengers will move around freely around the whole universal church, bringing the good news, and not only the good news of the gospel, but also the good news of what God is doing in other places. For the past 12 years, we have been sharing about the amazing revival that is happening in Iran. And even today, when we talk about the amazing revival that is happening in Iran today, people have never heard about it. Believe me, the fastest growing church in the world today is in Iran. But we don't only have contacts in Iran, we have contacts all over the world. Pakistan, in Philippines, and in many other countries where God is moving powerfully today. And so I'm going to start very soon, when we come back in November, traveling to talk to people about what God is doing, and to encourage others to become messengers of the good news of the kingdom, so that the kingdom can carry on growing with its own communication network, other than internet, other than the services that can be disrupted by the people who would seek to destroy us. Bless you. Thank you for listening.
Bye.